Hello and welcome. Thank you for listening. My name is Sarah Baumert. I'm a yoga teacher, Feldenkrais practitioner, and host of the Sarah B. Yoga podcast. The Sarah B. Yoga podcast and my practice, Body Matter, is an interdisciplinary learning space where we explore the many ways that movement can help facilitate body acceptance and awareness, reduce pain and stress, regulate the nervous system, and build strength and ease. My teaching plays with the synthesis of Feldenkrais Awareness Through Movement lessons, traditional yoga asana, creative imagery, breathing exercises, self-massage, and a compassionate mindset to help you feel a greater sense of ease and comfort in yourself. Sarah B. Yoga and Body Matter have a lot of other program offerings. These podcasts are just a taste of my teaching. Each week, I teach a range of online classes, including a gentle yoga class, a level 2 class for more advanced students, and Feldenkrais classes with monthly themes, anatomy lessons, and Q&A sessions for more in-depth study. There are 2 online movement series on offer this season. Our themes will be dedicated to mastering our attention, the simple but profound skill of being fully present. You can find links for these courses and other opportunities in the show notes. Okay, on to today's episode. Thank you so much for listening. Welcome to the Sarah B. Yoga podcast. This podcast is an intersection of my yoga teaching and my training in the Feldenkrais method. Today we take a Feldenkrais approach to directing our attention. This episode is the intro lesson to the new series, The Focused Body. In this series, we will directly use subtle movements to strengthen our capacity for more sustained concentration. The lessons in the series are designed to refine your internal listening skills and help quiet your mind from distraction. I'm not sure about you, but there seem to be more and more things constantly trying to distract us and compete for our attention. So this will be a true practice of setting all other things down and quieting our minds enough to be able to enter the internal landscape of ourselves. You will learn to deliberately shift your focus from a more narrow sensory detail to a wide spatial awareness and to be able to move back and forth. So in today's episode, you will first hear a short introduction about how to approach working with your attention. And after that will be a 60-minute Feldenkrais Awareness Through Movement lesson. Welcome, everyone. So welcome to any of you that are new to my teaching. And also welcome those of you that are new to the Feldenkrais method in general. Today's lesson, we will mostly be lying with your back on the floor. So if you don't already have your space set up, take a moment to find a rug or a carpet that you can lay down on. You can also put a mat, like a yoga mat, down so that you have enough cushion and comfort for lying on your back. You may also want to have something like a towel that you can fold and place under your head if lying on your back is uncomfortable for your neck. If it's just the flat surface, the back of your head on the floor, that might not be completely comfortable for you. And then also, as you're preparing for the lesson, please know that we typically don't build a lot of heat in Feldenkrais lessons. This is not an exercise class in that way. We are using movement as a part of our process, but the movement is often more of a tool of our attention and awareness. So if you are in a colder climate, make sure you're comfortably warm. And this lesson, you could even have a light blanket on you and it probably won't get in the way. So before we get into the lesson, for those of you that are new to Feldenkrais, this lesson is a very unique lesson. It is one example of what Feldenkrais can be, but lessons can really range wildly from one another. So if this is truly your very first taste of a Feldenkrais lesson, I invite you to try some of my other free intro class offerings that are available as sample classes. There's quite a few of them. So maybe after trying half a dozen lessons or so, you would have a better idea of the breadth and the depth of what the method can get into. So those that are new, and if you're not new, you know this, but please enter this lesson with curiosity. Nothing we do should be challenging in a way that it brings you pain. If there's anything that does cause you discomfort, I invite you to move slower, to move with less effort, and if needed, just imagine the movement. There still is motor planning and processing that happens when we imagine, so don't think of imagining as a lesser form of the practice. And if you find that your attention is challenged, this is okay, because this is what we're here to be curious about. You'll notice that I'm not doing any of the movements with you, and that's on purpose. There are great benefits that come from your personal process of listening to the words and translating those words for yourself into your own body moving. And we're listening to the subtle landscape of the body. So this class is not a class where you're trying to look a certain way or create a certain shape, but instead uncover some sensations that you maybe didn't know you didn't know. And if you ever get confused and think, maybe I'm not doing this right, it's really just best to continue what you're doing and know that whatever you are doing, there's so much information in that you can pay attention to, and just try not to get too caught up in, is this right or is this wrong? So we'll play with some different types of attention in this series. I will just mention 2 different types of attention that will be a part of today's lesson. A more narrow attention, where we might spotlight something, or in meditation, sometimes it's often called an anchor, where we limit our focus to a specific sensory input. And then there's a more wide or global awareness that's a bit more panoramic. It's more inclusive. We might give equal attention to both internal and external stimulus. And so you'll see a little bit of both of those here in the lesson today. Okay, we're going to start standing. Just come up to stand. And stand with your feet comfortably wide, about hips distance. And place one hand on the lower belly so that the palm is not right on the belly button, but the palm is maybe 1 to 2 inches lower than the belly button. And the area that we're going to focus here is an area that in many Eastern arts is a central focus. It has many names, and I will call it what Feldenkrais like to call it, which is the Tanden. The Tanden. So you have this one hand on the front. You're going to bring the second hand right back behind it. And probably to be comfortable, it will need to be the back of that hand touching this area. You'll feel a more bony area of your spine, which is called the sacrum. So you have one hand in the front, a little bit lower than the belly button, and the other hand is directly behind that. And you'll keep your hands here and begin to think about the space that is between your hands, the internal space. So that your attention is not just on the outer surface where your hands touch you, but we're going to practice to learn to bring the attention inwards. As though your attention can penetrate beyond your hands, beyond your skin, into the internal space that is between your hands. And we'll use an image. The image is as though there is a golden ball between your hands, as if there is a golden ball in front of your sacrum. Now, those of you that anatomically know where the sacrum is, have an image of the sacrum, you're thinking of the front of the sacrum, that golden ball is in front of the sacrum. And if you don't know what the sacrum is, you actually do know what the sacrum is because the hand that's on your back is touching, and that's enough. That's enough information for you. So living inside the space between your hands, you imagine a golden ball. It could be whatever size you'd like it to be, the size of an almond, a golf ball, a tennis ball, whatever works for you. And what's important is that we're not paying attention just to the surface, but that the attention is deeper. And Feldenkrais spoke about this area of the Tanden and about learning to move from here, as well as learning to move with this area in our attention, which is what we'll play with a lot today. So as you're thinking of sensing this region, could you begin to shift your weight a little bit to the right, a little bit to the left? Just a very simple shifting of weight while you still keep your attention to the golden ball, to the area of your middle or the space between your hands. And feeling that the whole of you is moving, but that everything is still connected to this place of the middle. Great. And then just simply come so that you have more even weight on the 2 feet and begin to rotate gently from this region, keeping your feet more or less grounded. Maybe one heel will lift a little bit, but you feel the whole of you rotate as if to look over your right shoulder and as if to look over your left shoulder. And again, keeping this area between your hands in your attention so that the movement doesn't pull you away from it. And you can even imagine that all the rotation is coming from this region, turning from the middle between your hands. And if you need to change over the hands, the other hand comes in front, the other hand comes in back. And as you keep playing with that for a moment here in standing, Moshe, in this lesson, he says, all of the movements that I ask you to do are trying to distract you from this place. But pay attention here in the middle. And then if you can include the sensations of movement, great. Okay, let that go. Find the spot on your floor where you can lie on your back and come down. Lie on your back with your legs long. And if having your legs long is not comfortable, you might slide a pillow or a bolster underneath your legs. Or you can also stand your feet if that's needed. Let your arms just rest on the floor comfortably. Allow your eyes to close and feel that your lips are touching gently, so your mouth is closed, but there's not a tension or a tone there. And now shift your attention. Maybe it's not there at the golden ball anymore, but we're going to shift our attention now to an area that is a little bit more external and potentially easier to feel sensation. See if you can focus your entire attention on the area at the entrance of the nostrils. The area at the entrance of the nostrils. The place where you can feel the sensation of air entering and exiting the nostrils. Feeling the touch of the air. Seeing if you can remain aware of every breath coming in and every breath moving out. The breath is as it is. You're not manipulating the breath. If the breath is long, it's long. If the breath is short, it's short. but the awareness is of that sensation at the entrance of the nostrils. If that place is difficult for you to feel, you can bring the tips of one or two fingers very close to the nostrils, not quite touching, but almost touching. And that may help you feel that sensation of the air as it comes in and out. And feeling the temperature of that air. That as the air enters the nostrils and goes through the hallway of the nostrils, again, you might feel that touch, the wind of the air. As it comes in, the air is a little bit cooler in temperature. It moves through your body and then it exits. And the air will feel a little bit warmer as it's exiting. See if you can tune into that detail. The temperature is a little cool as it enters and a little bit warmer as it exits. And so here we are narrowing our attention. We're trying to sharpen the focus on a very small area. Even though the area is small, it doesn't mean there's only one sensation. There may be multiple sensations here. As you're paying attention to this entrance at the nostrils, does the air pass through both nostrils? Maybe you actually feel that the air is only moving through one nostril, or one nostril is a little bit more open. That's a question that does not have a correct answer or a better answer. It's a question to bring you into the questioning, into the inquiry. Good. Now begin to shift your attention from this very narrow, small area to the larger field of your whole torso. So just as you're lying here, begin to sense that the ground is there. Notice that you can sense the ground. This is very important. It's central to our understanding that we keep coming back to this living relationship with the earth. And it's not the same head and the same shoulders and the back of your pelvis. It's not the same as it was last week when you laid down on the floor or earlier today. But this relationship with the floor is always changing and you're here with it. So start to find out now, how does your breathing interact with the floor? And if I back up for a moment, do you think of yourself lying on the floor or are you lying with the floor? If we think of lying on the floor, we may have the expectation that the floor will catch us and that somehow the floor itself is inert. And it takes away a little bit of this notion that we have a way within ourselves where we're always interacting with the floor. And maybe I should use the word earth rather than floor. But it takes that notion away of having this living relationship with the earth. So take a few moments and observe for yourself what it's like to be supported with the floor.
And watch what happens if you change your attention for a moment and imagine that the floor is actually coming up to you and lifting up and into you. And that lift up and into you, that support into yourself enables you to move, to be alive, and you might feel the movement of your breath here. So do that. Notice your breath in this more global way. As you inhale and exhale, perhaps you'll sense that the ribs interact with the floor more clearly on one side than the other. And can your attention, your listening, be that sharp that you can sense that there's a difference of the ribs on your right side, how they interact with the floor, compared to the ribs on the left side and how they interact with the floor? You may not be able to answer this question, but can you be in the question, be in the experience enough to be alive with that question? So paying attention to your ribs and their relationship with the floor. Notice if you pay attention to that outer surface, sort of the outside of your skin or the part of the ribs that actually touch the floor on the back of you. Or are you more inside the ribs, inside the rib cage, or even the space? That space inside the ribs, inside the chest. Now, if one side feels more dominant, more present with your breathing, could you inhale into that side of your back? And that could be in your imagination. How would I do that? How would I breathe into just one side of my torso? Just for a moment, sense what it's like to experience breathing this side of your back with the floor. And after 1 or 2 breaths, discover what it's like for you to engage and interact the other side of your torso with the floor as you breathe. And it's like your attention is watching this movement take place. See now if it's not possible for you to breathe a little bit more symmetrically so you can have a sense of both sides of your ribs engaged with your breathing. Great. Now, bring your hands down to your low belly. It could be one or both hands so that your palm is in front of that area of the golden ball. So not on your belly button, but a little bit lower. And project your attention back from your hands towards your pelvis so that you can imagine the front of your sacrum. As if you're actually inside of yourself, let your attention drop in. And you might let some images come. This ability to sense internally will grow over time. But that space behind your hand is alive. It might move with your breath. That breath movement behind your hand, it might be very small and subtle for some of you. It might be really gross and obvious. But the movement of the breath is less important than your attention to this internal space. And so now, at any point throughout the rest of the lesson, if you lose the attention of this internal space of the middle where the golden ball is, you go back there. This area is the center of your universe for this lesson. I'm just going to read you a quote of when Feldenkrais taught this lesson so you understand I'm not exaggerating this idea for the biases of this series. He says, while doing this during the entire lesson, the attention to the tanden is more important than the movement we do. The movements are just to test ourselves to see if we are sleeping or if we are awake. That means to distinguish if we are able to pay attention to what we want or if something inside of us by itself does what it wants. In other words, we are trying to stop being machines, but rather to become something closer to being a human that has awareness, a human that knows what they are doing and does what they want, not that it is done by itself and what it wants. And so it's really quite a direct statement about the essence of what we're doing. So sensing this area behind your hands, and even with all of that, could you start to widen your awareness and welcome the sounds, not as a distraction, but as a widening of your attention, so that you can really be here within the internal sensations of your body and within an external space. And very gently begin to roll your head a little left and right, but still sensing into the region behind your hand or the area of the golden ball. And so the turning of your head, try not to let that distract you. See if you can have all of this together, the attention to the middle and the head rolling left and right. Sense that the ground is there. You can feel the shape of the head on the floor without losing the attention of the golden ball. And then just pause with your head. You can keep your hands where they are and imagine a widening of your mouth, sensing your face. Imagine a widening of the mouth, a widening of the eyes, as if the whole face gets a little wider. Imagine a widening of your shoulders, letting your attention go to these places. So there's kind of an image of this space of between your shoulders growing wider. You're not doing, you're not trying, just letting your imagination and your attention work together. And then sensing again down into your belly, that space of the golden ball, and slowly let your right leg begin to bend as if you're going to stand your right foot. But as you do that, listen right into where the golden ball is. And so your right knee will bend and your right foot will stand slowly. And then you'll lengthen the right leg again. And you'll do this slowly a number of times. And again, Moshe would say, the movement is trying to distract you. So stay with your attention in the middle, but you open your attention to include that the leg is bending, the foot is standing, the leg is lengthening. And there might be a moment where you lose contact with the golden ball. There may be a gap that shows up. And those gaps are very interesting. We're really here to discover those gaps. Great. And then let your right leg come long. Just pause for a moment with both legs long. And begin to do the same very simple movement with your left side, starting to feel the knee bend, feeling the pathway that you choose to bring your foot to stand. And then you let your leg lengthen. And as you're doing it, you're listening there in the middle. You can keep your hands there on your belly if that's helpful. You can bring your hands back to the floor. But the attention is always staying there at the space of the golden ball. And when we're listening in the middle like that and moving the left leg, can you sense the weight shift in the pelvis? As your leg goes from being long to then bending the leg and standing the foot, notice the weight shift in the pelvis. So you take in all of that skeletal information as if we're uncovering the somewhat unusual intention, sensing something like a golden ball in front of the sacrum. Great. And then keep your left foot standing and slowly bring your right foot to stand also. So both legs will be bent, both feet are standing, and you can have your feet a comfortable hips distance apart. Pause here for a moment and just send your breath down towards that golden ball area. If imagining this area in front of your sacrum feels really far away, just keep experimenting, keep bringing your attention deep there. Maybe keeping your hands there could be helpful. And then slowly start to do a movement so that you roll your pelvis in a way that it brings your lower back a little bit more into the floor. And you can imagine that the golden ball rolls a little bit towards your head. And then reverse that rolling of the pelvis. So you tilt your pelvis so that your lower back does a very gentle arch away from the floor, imagining that the golden ball rolls a little away from your head. So this very center region, still in your attention, and you're thinking of rolling the ball a little bit towards the head and away from your head. And your attention can be inclusive. So you have this middle space where you might still be imagining a golden ball, but also you can sense the whole length of your spine all the way through to your head. And so we're taking this very familiar movement of rocking the pelvis forward and back and adding this attentional emphasis on the place of the middle where you're imagining the golden ball. So continue rocking the pelvis a little forward, a little backward. And you can keep following my invitations as long as the center where the golden ball is still alive in your awareness. So you can feel a widening of your lips, a widening of your eyes, a listening through your spine. The way that your ribs relate to the earth. Good. And very gently pause this movement of your pelvis. And with your attention still in this middle place, could you interlace your fingers and bring the hands behind your head? And notice if in that moment of hearing the direction, you lose the attention of your tanden or the golden ball. That's what we're curious about, is that moment when we hear the instruction, can that area still somehow be alive? So actually bring your hands back down, just arms alongside the body on the floor. Sense the golden ball, and then take your hands towards each other, interlace the fingers, bring the hands behind the head, still attending to the middle. So you place your hands behind your head. And slowly begin to lift your head as if you want to look between your legs. Your attention is still in the middle. You can even imagine that this middle area, the golden ball area, begins this movement. How would that be? How would you lift your head with an initiation from the tanden? And you don't keep your head lifted and hold it there. You lower the head back down. And you might pause with the head resting in the support of your hands. And then again, feel what it would be like to float the head away from the floor. How would this come as a radiance from the middle? Your hands interlace behind your head. The lips can be wide, the eyes can be wide. Great. And I recommend trying exhaling as you lift. As you lift the head, letting the chest soften and come down and sensing how the earth is changing behind you, how the ground support changes from moment to moment. Great. Okay, lower the head down. Let your legs lengthen. Bring your arms down. And just take a moment to sense how alive you are in that middle area, how the relationship to the ground is changing. Good. Now, place your hands on your lower belly and lightly tap with your fingers, with your finger pads, a kind of tap, 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 tap on your lower belly. But you're thinking that this tapping, this touch sensation is going all the way through, imagining the front of your sacrum, imagining the space between your fingers and where you're resting on the floor. Like you're watering the seeds of your attention in this space by tapping. You're inviting the whole area to become present, the whole area to come forward in your field of awareness. Good. And then let your hands come down, staying alive here. Bend your legs, stand your feet, and begin to lift your right foot off the floor so that your right knee comes towards your chest, and interlace your fingers around the right knee or the top of the right shin. And again, just notice, listen, it's interesting to go a little unconscious in those moments of direction where we lose something. So your left foot is standing and you're holding the right leg. You're holding the top of your right shin or around your knee, and gently bring your right knee towards your chest and then a little away from your chest. And experiment with the difference between that movement being done by pulling on your leg with your hands compared to that movement being done by rolling the golden ball. As if the movement of your leg towards your chest is a consequence of the ball rolling. So try both so that you can start to feel if you can notice the distinction, if that has any somatic relevance for you. So there's something you can sense about that. So in both cases, you're holding the knee, you're not letting go of the leg. But in one case, you're pulling the leg towards you with your arms as your prime mover, and the pelvis moves as a consequence. And in the second case, you're imagining the ball rolling and letting the pelvis move, and the leg then moves as a consequence of that. And see if that distinction makes sense inside of you. Allow yourself to be curious. Good. Place your right foot back down to the floor. Keep the legs bent. Pause and just notice any distinctions of the left side and the right side, how they meet the floor. Interlace your hands non-habitually now. So the other thumb is in front, and lift your left foot off the floor. Bring your hands around the left knee or the top of the shin. You can also go behind the knee if you need to. And slowly sensing, this time begin by rolling the ball. Think of rolling the golden ball a little towards your head, letting the pelvis roll so that the leg is carried from the movement of the pelvis towards your head. Feeling how the whole body can respond to that impulse. And even as you're sensing in the middle, at the golden ball area, can you also have a sense of your length? Can you have a sense of the length of your spine? Can you even have some kind of sense of the size of the room that you are in without losing attention to the middle? Now, having a sense that you are in some space, maybe it's in your home, a specific room. Can you sense the space that's to the right of you, to the left of you, the space that's above your head, that's below your feet? Sensing the space that's behind you or the floor. And again, you're changing relationship with it. All of this while you're still sensing the area of the middle. So here's a moment where we're just playing with, is that possible to widen the attention? Can I give equal attention to this internal space where I'm imagining the golden ball, where I'm moving from, as well as the external space that's around me? Right. Let that go. Let your legs lengthen. Pause. Stay with some kind of sense of the ground, the relationship of your breath and the ground. And keep this center or middle area still be the center of your universe. Good. Bend both legs, standing both feet, and interlace your hands behind your head. Staying very intimate with your attention at the golden ball area. As you exhale, you'll begin to lift the head and lift the right foot to bring your right knee and your two elbows a little towards each other. Simply feeling how you can fold to bring the elbows and the right knee towards each other. And then you unfold, bring the foot down, bring the head down. But again, the folding is just an excuse to do something. It is not a sit up. We're not trying to touch the elbow to the knee. The folding is in the background. You sense it. There's some interest in the length of your spine. There's some interest in the widening and the ease of the face. All of these things I've been bringing up. But the main subject is to be awake at that area of the golden ball. How the folding and the unfolding can be a movement that comes from your middle. Feel as you fold that the whole back can get long, the whole face can have its width. And then just shift to the left leg as you continue exhaling, gently lifting the head, feeling your elbows and your left knee draw a little towards each other. It could be 1 inch towards each other. And then you lower back down. You simply feel how you can fold a little bit. And so you're still experimenting with widening your attention. Can you be alive with that space in the middle and still feel that your face is wide? Get curious about how the back of your spine gets longer as you fold in the front. And as your field of awareness, as I invite you to bring more and more things into your field of awareness, you might feel that the field opens like that. And there are just these single moments where it's all there together. You can keep it all in your attention, maybe for just a moment. And then you lose it and you have to sort of pull back and come right back to the golden ball. Okay, let that go. Lower your legs, lower your arms. Sense the quality of yourself right now, the width of yourself, or how flat you feel on the floor. Notice how the breath drops, where it goes in you, how long the breath is. And keeping your attention to the middle, to the golden ball area, bend your knees, stand your feet. Lift your right knee so that your right knee comes towards you, and take your right hand to the outside of your knee, scooping your right hand behind your knee. So not at the top of the shin, but your right hand goes to the outer part of the knee, and then it kind of touches the back of your thigh or at that knee pit. Do the same thing with your left. Pick your left foot up, bring the left hand to the outside of the left knee, and hook the left hand right there. Yeah, at the knee pit. And then the legs can bend, the knees can bend, the feet are very relaxed. And let your two knees spread a comfortable width. You're not pulling the knees apart with your hands. You're not trying to get a big stretch of your inner thighs. You're just holding the knees here comfortably wide. And with your attention to the middle, start to bring the knees a little towards you and a little away from you. And discern what this is like if you use your arms. If the main event is that you're pulling your knees towards your head and moving the knees away from your head with your arms, versus with some kind of a rolling of the ball or some kind of a shifting of the weight of your pelvis. Yeah, and you can try this to start with your head on the floor if that's comfortable for you. So try it a few times without lifting the head. If it's a big reach to hold there, you might slide something under your head, like that folded towel or a pillow. Great. And then some of you are already exploring this. As your knees come towards your head, allow your head to lift, like you want to look between the legs. And then you let your head lower down and your knees move a little away from you. But really be honest with yourself so that you know, am I pulling with my arms? Am I doing most of this by pulling with my arms? Or can I actually distribute the effort so that I include this movement of the middle? That's right. So the hands are gently holding kind of in that knee pit area. Great. Let it all go. Let your legs lengthen. Let your arms come down. Close your eyes if you'd like. Sense your breath in the area of the middle. Soften the front of your neck. Feel the weight of your head completely supported by the floor and allow your head to roll a little left and right. Great. Please roll to your side and transition so that you come up to sit on your mat. And sit on your mat or your carpet so that you have space behind you, so that if you were to lie down from where you're sitting, you would have that space too. And so you're sitting on your bum. You're going to stand your 2 feet out in front of you so your knees are bent. Your feet are standing comfortably wide again. And take your arms to the outsides of your legs. Now, you could hold at the knee pit like we were just doing. Some of you may be able to hold the outsides of your feet with your hands. Yeah, and your arms are on the outsides of your legs if they can be. And so you're in this kind of folded, rounded shape, and bring attention to the middle where the golden ball is, maybe with all those instructions. You lost it. And just imagine this first, consider rolling onto your back like this, more or less maintaining this shape. And so, yeah, you maybe look behind you and go, oh, do I have space back there? And you may just be here in this shape and continue to imagine that. That may be your practice right now. If considering rolling onto your back, if that sounds interesting, fun, maybe a fun challenge, feel what that's like. Rolling onto your back and potentially coming back up to sit. It doesn't matter if you succeed. You keep your attention to the middle the whole time. And this movement, suddenly you may feel like there's some ambition that comes in. There's some new muscular effort. You might get stuck. You can feel when or if you do get stuck, what happens there in the middle? Can there be a continuous breath? You can let go of the idea that you have to keep holding on. Maybe if you're holding on to your feet, you feel what it's like to hold on to a pant leg or your thigh. Or maybe you don't hold on to anything, but you keep some folded shape. And you explore this rolling with continual attention to the middle. Again, it doesn't matter if you succeed in rolling back and sitting back up. Could you do this and have a wide face? Widen your lips, widen your eyes, your forehead. Feel the roof of your mouth could be wide. Great. And then come to your back, lie on your back, let your legs lengthen, let your arms come down. Pause for a moment and rest. Bringing attention to the middle. Good. Slowly bend your knees, stand your feet. And with that continual attention to the golden ball, pick up both feet so that the 2 knees are floating over your chest. Your knees will be bent. So you draw your knees up over your chest. The knees are comfortably wide. And then start to let your arms float in the air. Imagine you have very large earmuffs on and you bring your hands to touch those earmuffs. So your hands aren't touching your ears. Your hands are some distance from your ears. Your elbows are bent. Your elbows might be pointed towards the ceiling And your hands can be very soft. You're not actually gripping those imaginary earmuffs. And close your eyes for a moment, sense the tanden or the space of the golden ball, and create an image of rolling. Imagine rolling, that you roll to your right side, all the way to your right side. You imagine this, your right limbs meet the floor and your left limbs stack on top of them. And then you imagine you open your left limbs and you roll onto your back to your left side. And eventually those right limbs would come to your left limbs, and you imagine rolling back onto your back. So see if you can build that image as though you begin to very softly roll yourself right and left now. And notice if even in the imagination of it, the limbs are sort of forward in your attention. Could you have this movement of rolling side to side, even if you've started to do it already? Some of you might still be imagining, some of you maybe you just want to get there and start the action. Can you have the movement of rolling side to side? Can it all come from this space of the middle? Your limbs are going to figure out where they need to go. We're not worried about any kind of specific shape with the limbs. So the limbs are soft and comfortable in the hip creases as they can be, soft in the shoulders. The fingers are soft. The limbs open a little bit as you come onto your back, and then they close like a book as you come onto your side. So begin to follow that slowly, moving, rolling side to side like a baby might. Really seeing, can you move from this middle place, from this golden ball? The image may be that the golden ball actually is rolling, and the limbs just find their way. That's right. Can the feet be soft? Can the front of your pelvis feel wide, as well as the back of your pelvis feel wide? The lips wide? And as long as that golden ball stays in your attention, you could try this faster. Very light, very fast. That's right. The knees can widen a little bit as you are on your back, and then the limbs close as you come to one side. Yeah, where could you let go of some effort? How could this movement continue with a little less effort? Great. When you're ready, come to rest. Let your legs lengthen, your arms come down. Feel how your pelvis is resting, your ribs, your shoulder blades, your level of being able to rest now. Sense all the space around you. You can imagine the room that you are lying in, the width of it, how high the ceiling is. And knowing that there's this external space around you, narrow your attention all the way to that space of the entrance of the air at the nostrils. Just remember that spot. And as you're ready, please roll to your side to come up to sit. And you'll transition from sitting to standing. And as you do that, could you keep that attention in the middle at the golden ball? So this larger, more gross transition from the floor to sit to stand, staying interested so that the movement itself doesn't take you away from this internal space that you've gotten to know a little bit. And as you come up to stand, just take some moments to sense what emerges for you. Just being here with your own experience. So I'm not trying to direct your attention now, but just receiving what comes. If your eyes are not open, let your eyes be open as you're standing here. So there's still this interest in receiving, feeling how this living relationship with the earth is occurring and standing. And with your attention at the middle, shift your weight a little left and right. Feel what it's like to rotate in standing. And then when you're ready, take a little walk about your space. All right. Thank you, everyone.
Are you enjoying this podcast? I've chosen to offer these audio recordings freely for over 15 years. I do this because research shows yoga, yoga nidra, and Feldenkrais to be valuable practices, those which I would like to share widely. Dana, the Buddhist practice of generosity, has always been a pillar of my business. And more generally, Dana is the inclination to give without expecting any form of repayment. It does, however, take a fair amount of time, effort, and cost to maintain and keep the podcasts available. If you feel you've benefited from what you've learned from these classes, then please do consider making a contribution towards the maintenance and upkeep of the classes. It will help ensure that I can continue to offer the podcast classes freely and keep generating new material. Give what you can, give what feels good. If it's too little, it won't feel good. If it's too much, it won't feel good. Links to support the show monetarily can be found in the show notes. And other ways to give include sharing the podcast with others, leaving a 5-star rating and review, or just sending me an email with how the classes have affected you. Thanks so much.